Looks like we're good to go, Gail.
Yes,
Yes,
are we live?
we're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I'm so happy you are able to join us this afternoon at Bay Area Legal Services. Our topic for this afternoon is time for tax talk. And my name is Gale Pinkston. I've been a practicing attorney with Bay Area Legal Services for the past 29 years. I'm a graduate of Florida State University. I have undergraduate and graduate degrees, and my law degree is from the University of Pittsburgh. Currently, I'm the managing attorney for Bay Area's office located in Plant City in Hillsborough County. And joining me this afternoon is Selema Hernandez. We both work out of the Plant City office, and Selema will introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Gail said, my name is Selema Hernandez. I am the outreach coordinator for our Plant City office here at Bay Area Legal Services. As we go through this presentation, feel free to post your questions in our comment section, and then we will get to them at the end.
And what Selema and I both want you to keep in mind throughout this presentation this afternoon is that we are here providing services to you, members in the community, and we will at some point be sharing our contact information in the event you need services yourself or you want to request a presentation. Bay Area Legal Services is a private nonprofit law firm. We provide services to individuals and to other nonprofits within our service area that may have limited access to legal services otherwise. This may include you, your family, your neighbors, or clients that you serve. Part of our reason for being here today is that we work collaboratively to assist those who need our services. Our primary service area includes Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Sarasota counties. In addition to providing services to those counties, however, Bay Area has been awarded contracts with the state of Florida to provide statewide legal assistance to seniors. We have a senior legal helpline as well as a veterans legal helpline. So when you contact us, we will be able to consider you for an array of services. We provide assistance to eligible applicants in most civil, non-fee generating legal matters. You can contact us by phone and online. Information is available at our website, which is BALS, standing for Bay Area Legal Services.org. And our telephone number is 800-625-2257. And thank you, Paul. We have a third person joining us from Bay Area. Paul Leak is our coordinator today to help us make sure this presentation is a success. So thank you for that slide, Paul. Let me say to you, there's a term that I may use during this presentation this afternoon. We consider ourselves a clinic, meaning that we're open to eligible members of the public to come and receive services. A low-income taxpayer clinic is a term used nationwide. Each state has at least one low-income taxpayer clinic. Florida is fortunate, and then we have 7 low-income taxpayer clinics at this time. And so regardless of where you may be viewing from today, more likely than not, you reside in a county where there is a low-income taxpayer clinic available to assist you with the federal income tax matter. Now, some of the clinics are connected with the legal services program, such as ours. Some are independent and are nonprofit simply in and of themselves, and they focus upon income tax matters. So at the conclusion of this presentation today, you will know how to contact us. And also we're going to share a couple of slides how you can locate your closest low income taxpayer clinic, should the need arise. What I'd like to do is share with you how we provide services by giving you samples as well as just a narrative presentation today. And I'm going to focus upon the advocacy component of the services we provide, while Selema, a little bit later, will focus upon outreach and education components of the work we do. So one of the things we do at Bay Area is provide consultations. There are different tiers, I'll say, in terms of providing services. We provide consultations, we provide representation to clients, and we have periodic events in the community, which include what we term a consultation day. I'll talk to you more about that a little later, as well as calendar call when the United States Tax Court comes to Tampa, and they do that typically 2 or 3 times each year. Any of those of you who have an actual tax case in litigation now will be more familiar with the term calendar call. You know what that's all about. So when it comes to consultations, as the project director of our low-income taxpayer clinic, I provide weekly one-on-one telephonic consultations with individuals who call our office regarding tax returns. So the basic procedure is that when you call, you will be provided an appointment time for a callback from one of our staff members regarding the tax matter. This allows Bay Area staff to match your legal matter with an individual on our staff with expertise in whatever substantive area that you may be calling about. You may be calling about a landlord-tenant eviction matter, a mortgage foreclosure. You may be a victim of domestic violence and need representation in applying for an injunction for protection. You may have purchased a vehicle that stopped running recently or some type of other consumer matter. There are a multitude of legal matters and problems that people throughout our service area need assistance with. We encourage you to call. They're too numerous for me to enumerate today, but we receive funding from a number of different funding sources, local and nationally. And so when you call our office, which we again encourage you to do, we will make an effort to match you with one of our funding sources. We receive funding from the Children's Board of Hillsborough County, United Way, Hillsborough County itself, from the National Taxpayer Advocates Office, from HUD. So whatever your matter is, just give us a little time to match you with someone who has that expertise, and we will get back with you to discuss it. And at that point in time, it is decided what level of assistance we may be able to provide you with. So back to the consultations. I do that weekly. We at Bay Area have 3 attorneys actually who specialize in federal income taxation. So let me give you some examples of some recent requests for services that we have had related to the economic impact payment, also known as stimulus payment or the stimulus check. Frequently, that's how it's discussed in the community. And I'll just give you 2 or 3 examples. One of our callers was a 19-year-old young man seeking his stimulus payment. He stated he could not navigate the portal on the IRS website, and he wanted to know whether we at Bay Area could help him obtain a stimulus payment. He believed that his dad, who separated from the family 2 years earlier, claimed him on the tax return that his dad filed and received the benefits, and the 19-year-old was excluded. So he called us for assistance. That is an example of a consultation. Another example is a caller who was separated from his wife, living with a friend, and was greatly in need of financial assistance. He needed a stimulus payment. Prior to the separation, he was the only wage earner in the family. He was referred to us because his wife filed a return before he did and received the stimulus payment for the entire family, including both adults, husband and wife, and their qualifying children. So the caller wanted to know how to obtain his share of the stimulus payment. And the third example is a caller who wanted to know how to obtain her share of the family's stimulus payment after the payment was deposited into the account of her husband's ex-wife, rather than into the account of she and her husband. The couple had children of their own, and both were temporarily unemployed. So they call Bay Area. Now, these are relatively recent, if not active. And in the event you're wondering, well, what did you do? What happened? In many instances, you will find out that, especially as something as recent as this activity generated by our current environment, it's actually a work in process. Solutions are in the process of being designed and developed, as are remedies. So sometimes the answer to the question is there's not an answer yet. Someone is working on it. I can assure you that LITCs, the Taxpayer Advocate Service, nationwide are being contacted by taxpayers in very difficult positions. And we exist for the reason to help you. So again, we encourage you to call. If there's a resolution available, we will talk to you one-on-one about that. If there's not a resolution, we would have to unfortunately let you know what the status is. That doesn't mean there won't be an answer 3 months from now. And we have seen this already initially when the stimulus payments were initially made available. There were certain populations who were not automatically receiving their payments, such as SSI recipients and some other taxpayers, but Congress worked it out, IRS worked it out, they collaborated, and a solution was had. All right, let me move on. So those are my comments having to do with the stimulus payment. I have another slide, Paul, and I'll just term this one valued card holder, because even though millions of individuals have received their stimulus payment, there are millions of dollars still sitting on the table because individuals eligible for the payments have not applied for them, and there's no mechanism currently in place for them to automatically receive the payments. So what I'm holding up is, you may be aware, initially individuals, many individuals at least, were sent paper checks. And then at one point, that delivery system evolved into another option, which is the card that you see in your upper right-hand corner. It has been learned that many people did not know to expect this card and thought it perhaps was a scam. So they cut the card up and put it in the trash, or they received a letter in advance of the card saying you will receive, you're entitled to this. And there are, unfortunately, a lot of scam opportunities out there, and most people, to be prudent, ignored it. And what many people need to be aware of is this was not always a scam. Take a look at this letter, this slide that we have before you. And if you received a similar letter, or you have a friend or a neighbor that received a similar letter or a card, you need to go to the website irs.gov. That's where this flyer came from, and read and learn whether it could be absolutely legitimate, because the window is not open indefinitely. There are deadlines involved for requesting your stimulus payment. So you need to be aware of those. And if you know someone who's eligible, or if you received one of these notices or cards and discarded it, now's your opportunity to follow up on that, and so that money is not lost that you're eligible for. I have another slide following that. This is the one with the American flag near the top. So if you go to the website irs.gov, this should be one of the pages that come to your attention once you click on. You do a quick search, and this can be very helpful. If you can see, there are tabs, one entitled Get Your Tax Record. Many people, and I'll talk a little bit in a couple of minutes, who disagree with the IRS about whether they're entitled to a refund or owe money. You may want to take a look at what's been reported to the IRS in terms of your earnings. And you can get your information simply by going to irs.gov. There's a tab for Get Coronavirus Tax Relief. There's a tab for Get My Economic Payment, Impact Payment. Another for Get Your Refund Status. One is for non-filers. We've had a number of people contact us because they didn't fall into one of the categories where it was relatively easy to receive their stimulus payment. So they needed to go online and go to a special portal designed for them to provide information to the IRS about where to send your stimulus payment, because for many individuals, that was the explanation for the delay. They weren't sure where to send the stimulus payment to. All right, and the last one I will touch on, do your taxes for free. Some individuals are not even aware that on irs.gov, they do provide software now where individuals who prefer can prepare their returns and have it done, particularly when transportation is a challenge or finances are a challenge. There are countywide, and Selema will touch on this, each year there are locations where taxpayers can go and have their tax returns prepared without charge and without the fear of exploitation and exorbitant fees for filing simple tax returns. All right, so, and then the next slide is coronavirus tax relief and economic impact payments. Again, this slide comes from the irs.gov. All right, hold on, Paul. Let me catch up with you here. All right, so the slide that's actually up now is get your stimulus check from the IRS. So this is actually a 2-page slide. Hopefully we have both pages, but if we do not, you now know where to go to pull this up, irs.gov/get my payment. There it is right there. And this will give you information. It will warn you to beware of scams. And hopefully if you're one of the individuals out there who is eligible for a payment and has not yet received it, you may find this information helpful. All right, let me see. Now, let me check my time here. Shalem and I are sharing time. All right. Representation. All right, I've touched on the stimulus payments, directed you hopefully on how to get some helpful information. Let you know that we provide consultations telephonically. Give us a call. There may be some people who are not eligible for extended representation. However, in most instances, at the minimum, we're able to assist you with the consultation. As I said, we have 3 attorneys at Bay Area who do work in the area of federal income taxation. Let me give you some examples about the actual representation we provide. So an individual, for example, has contacted us. They have a question or a problem with the Internal Revenue Service. They have been referred to us, and actually the low income tax clinic information is posted on the IRS website to help taxpayers. And Salem is also going to touch on taxpayer rights that we have in this country, rights and responsibilities that you should be aware of. So some examples of representation provided by our attorneys at Bay Area. We often provide representation for self-employed individuals, whether they work in fields of agriculture, they may own their own small business, home health care services, or otherwise. I can't emphasize enough how important proper record keeping is for those who are self-employed. Because if a controversy arises with the Internal Revenue Service, and again, controversy just means you disagree about whether you're entitled to a refund, or you disagree about whether you owe them money. That's called a controversy. So we've helped farm workers, for example, who sometimes are paid with cash, or sometimes Social Security is not taking out of their benefits. We've worked with Uber or Lyft drivers who are responsible for their own record keeping. We work with individuals who have been informed they did not, quote, earn enough money and therefore had no responsibility to file an income tax return. And what happened in these 3 instances, in the first instance, the farm worker's Social Security number was used by the citrus grove owner, and it was reported to the Internal Revenue Services. This gentleman and his wife the two of them together only earned about $17,000 each year, but it was reported to the Internal Revenue Service that the husband alone earned in excess of, I think it was $180,000. So he received correspondence from the IRS that he owed taxes on that $180,000. So thankfully he came to us and we resolved that successfully. We recently had a case where a gentleman was providing transportation through a major company. And again, it was reported that he earned income far in excess. If you're familiar, you report your total money captured, but then a portion of that goes to the company, and you only keep a certain percentage of that. And what was reported to the Internal Revenue Service was as though he'd earned all of that, and that was not the case. So we had to help just recently settle that matter after having brought to the attention of the IRS that indeed he did not earn that full amount. Taxpayers with debt forgiveness. Occasionally we have individuals who come to us who had major medical bills or major purchase that they turned back in because they couldn't make the payments. They were on a fixed income, not realizing that sometimes that triggers a filing requirement if that debt was written off. We've had taxpayers come into us who lost their home in a foreclosure, and it was erroneously reported to the IRS that they derived income at the closing, when actually they lost money and they left with nothing. But the burden was on them, unfortunately, to provide the information to the IRS, the correct information. I'm going to speed this up, but this is really important that I think that I give you examples. So if you know someone who is experiencing this, we find in legal services that when people come to us, often they don't just have a legal problem. They may have medical matters going on. Their kids may have issues. They're providing support to their parents. So they have a lot of weight, a lot of burdens when they come to us. So it's important to us that we give these examples of how we may be able to assist. Taxpayers call us when they've had liens imposed on their residence. In Florida, it may be a homestead and it's protected under a certain extent. However, that does not preclude the Internal Revenue Service from placing a lien on your home. I don't want to place anybody in fear, because there are a lot of rumors out there about liens being placed on your home. But the reality is we've been very successful depending on the circumstances. Now, every case is different, but there are instances when those liens can be removed. So that would be a reason to call us. We've had taxpayers who have withdrawn funds from retirement plans out of necessity, not anticipating the financial impact of that early withdrawal, and it can be tremendous. And we've had taxpayers who have made substantial contributions to nonprofit entities when in fact that entity was not approved by the IRS, to have such contributions be considered tax deductible. People don't always think of those. And I had a client who had, I believe she'd made over $60,000 in contributions to 3 sister churches. And she even had correspondence on letterhead from the church telling her her donations were tax deductible. But I actually contacted one of the leaders in one of those churches asking for substantiation that those deductions could be written off in her tax returns, and only to find out he had no idea that that paperwork needed to be done through the IRS in order to get that approval. So we were able to resolve that. It was settled, but a lot of times people just do not know. There's so much to know when it comes to taxes. And so we always encourage individuals to reach out to someone who's qualified and trustworthy when it comes to preparing your tax returns. We at Bay Area do not prepare tax returns. We're attorneys. Our job is to assist those who are having controversy with IRS, and we rely upon volunteers, VITA sites, AARP locations, who throughout a certain portion of the year provide the majority of free tax returns. But in addition, at least in Hillsborough County, and I believe in Pinellas County as well, there are year-round tax preparation locations. Now, we're at a huge disadvantage now because of COVID-19 restrictions. None of these locations is open for one-on-one appointments. However, we do try to stay up to date in terms of what are the options if you need to file a tax return. So you could check with irs.gov. They have links where you can get updates on what's available where and what the requirements are. All right, let's see where I am. Just a few more minutes. I want to touch on consultation day. So this is a service that many low-income taxpayer clinics throughout the country provide for those individuals who have a controversy with the Internal Revenue Service and have taken advantage of their taxpayer rights to file a petition with the U.S. Tax Court and say, I don't believe I owe the money and here's why, and I want my day in court. I want a hearing. And what Bay Area does in partnership with a couple of our sister legal services programs is we join any individual, I would say in Central Florida, who has requested that their hearing be held in Tampa. Doesn't have to be in Central Florida. I mean, you could ask for your hearing in South Florida or North Florida, but we collaborate and we work with private attorneys to hold what's called a consultation day. So we cannot guarantee a settlement of your tax case. However, between the low-income taxpayer staff, staff from IRS counsel, their counsel is located in Jacksonville. We have a wonderful working relationship with them. They reach out to us and we are aware of who has cases scheduled on the Tampa docket. And so we have IRS counsel, pro bono attorneys who volunteer their time, and I'm talking about tax experts with nationwide expertise join us. And we meet usually at the Hillsborough County Bar Association about a month in advance of the tax court presence here in Tampa. And we work with individuals. We have them call us in advance. Bay Area coordinates that. And we discuss their documents and why they believe that they are correct. And we go over that. And then on consultation day that evening, each individual who elects to participate has a consultation for no charge with our private attorneys about their tax matter. And the tax court very much appreciates that because they will be in Tampa within about a month, typically, and for the calendar call. And that means everyone, and it may be 20 people, it may be 100 people who have said to the tax court, I want my case heard in Tampa, because the U.S. tax court is in Washington, D.C. And certainly people nationwide can't travel to Washington, D.C. So kind of like the old days, they ride the circuit, literally, and they travel to courts throughout the country periodically. So when they come to Tampa, we have, again, volunteer attorneys from the area low-income taxpayer clinics, as well as private attorneys who take their time to volunteer, no charge, and provide on-site consultation with taxpayers. It's a wonderful experience to observe. It's downtown in Tampa if you have the opportunity to see these area residents expressing their legal rights when they believe, because Congress says we are only going to collect the amount of money that's correct and proper, not a penny more. And so until you know what that correct amount of money is, then you have a right to debate it and make your case and have your day in court. So that's what I have for now. There are collection alternatives available. I'm not sure whether Salema is going to touch on that, but if we have a few minutes between answering questions at the end, I will briefly touch on that. And you will also find out by going to irs.gov. Do not be burdened, do not lose sleep over owing money, allegedly owing money to the IRS. But even if you do, they have ways set up so that you can resolve the matter, and we are here to help you do that. All right, Salema, you're up.
Thank you. So Paul, we can go ahead and put up the taxpayer Bill of Rights because we're going to go over that for a little bit. And we just want to discuss a little bit about the different rights that you have as a taxpayer. And you can find this publication on the IRS website, and that website is irs.gov. There's a section that for forms and publications, as they get updated, they will have the most recent publication there. But your rights as a taxpayer are, for example, the right to be informed. You have the right to quality service. When dealing with the IRS, you want to make sure that you have you're being treated properly. You have the right to pay no more than the correct amount of tax, the right to challenge the IRS position. There are certain instances during an issue or controversy that you have with the IRS that you have that opportunity to tell the IRS that you don't agree with the decision that they have made. So that's one of the rights that you have. You also have the right to an appeal. So like I said, if you are not happy with or you don't agree with that, and usually it's for underpayments of the tax liability that they say that you might have, you have a right to appeal that. And all of these that we have discussed right now, any issue that you have with the IRS, those are cases that we can help with in our office. The right to finality, the right to privacy, the right to confidentiality, the right to retain representation, the right to a fair and just tax system. And you guys can, whenever you have time, you're able to log on, like I said, to the website, look these over a little bit based upon like the types of ways to resolve tax controversies is the work that we do. So in a lot of these is when we would come in to help you either, fight the decision that they have made, provide the documentation that they might need to find a way to pay off the alleged amount that the IRS is saying, or to help you prove that you are in the right, that you do not owe any money. Okay, we can take this one off, Paul. I'm gonna discuss with you a little bit more, like Ms. Pinkston discussed. Our funding allows for us to come out into the community to do and provide educational presentations. The type of information that we can come out and discuss are primarily scams that are targeting our community, any changes in the tax law. Everybody that is on our tax team does continuing education so that we're up to date with all the tax changes that are happening, how they affect our taxpayers, which is our community, and also make them aware of resources that are available. So Gale touched on a couple of them when she mentioned the VITA sites. A lot of people don't know that the VITA sites exist. What VITA sites do, they provide free tax preparation to the community at no cost. They're volunteers who have to undergo a training to make sure that they are aware of all the tax changes. They never charge you, so there's not that incentive to try to take advantage of you. But they're all over the county in Hillsborough, and they are done with a collaboration with United Way Suncoast, who we work with also. So it's really important for us to share that information with our community so that they have their taxes prepared timely, they have them prepared correctly, because that avoids issues in the future. We also come out and talk about ways that we can help. We share the information that we do. So if you are an organization that is interested in an individual presentation, we are more than happy to come out. We can't come out physically right now due to restrictions, but we are open to doing virtual presentations. So if you are interested in one, you can call us at our Plant City office to get that coordinated. And our phone number is 813-752-1335. And these presentations are not limited to only English speaking. Para nuestra comunidad de habla hispana, también podemos ofrecer presentaciones en español. Tenemos personal que habla español que les puede asistir. Y si usted quiere coordinar una presentación para su grupo en la comunidad, me pueden llamar al 813-752-1335. Do you want me to talk about anything else specifically, Gale, or did you want to go to questions to see if there's any questions?
Let's see if there are any questions. If not, we can continue to talk.
Okay, so there is one. What should a client do who has received a notice of a tax lien on their home?
Give us a call. That's easy. And there again, believe it or not, the situations can be so diverse. One thing that would be very helpful to us is if you have correspondence, that letter that warned you that a lien will be placed on your property, because normally that's not done overnight. Normally there has been some correspondence that may have taken place in the preceding year. So if we can track the history of what's going on, it may be that we can help you take action before the lien is imposed, but if it has already been imposed and you need assistance, then we may work toward having it lifted. I just, within the last 2 weeks, had a request for services where I believe the amount in controversy is about $10,000. Well, what we're going to work toward in that case is called an offer in compromise. That's one of the collection alternatives that I mentioned. So let me just quickly mention the main three are the IRS says you owe money, and maybe you do, maybe you disagree with that, but either way, you don't have the money to pay it. And let's say you're on a limited income, such as a retiree only receiving Social Security or someone with a disability receiving SSI. It's very likely that we could help you with an offer in compromise / settlement agreement, meaning we make an offer and say, we want to settle this whole matter based upon the person's current financial situation. That's all Congress and the IRS require. So if they accept our offer, and our success rate is very good, if they accept the offer, then the lien will be removed. And so we work through all the prerequisites and that type of thing with you. But, you know, we need the details of kind of how this happened and where are we now. And that's why we would contact the IRS on your behalf and get their perspective and their history, because sometimes there are things in your file that you may not even be aware of. So that's what we would recommend.
Perfect. We have another question. What should someone do who has not received their stimulus check?
Well, I would say the two main steps. One, you need to verify that you're eligible for the stimulus. So that's when our consultations come in. You can just call us at the number on the slide that Paul showed to you earlier. And we could, you know, just confirm that you're eligible, because unfortunately, every now and then there are some population pockets that Congress did not provide for. So if it's verified that you're eligible, then we're going to take a look at why. And I mentioned, I don't want to give anyone the wrong deadline, but I know there's a deadline this fall for requesting that stimulus. So once again, I would say give us a call and see if we can quickly navigate this and point you in the right direction if it can be resolved yourself. However, if you need our assistance, that's why we're here.
Perfect. And that deadline to file for your stimulus payment is October 15th. So
thank you. That's what I thought, but I couldn't find the slide. Thank you, Sulema.
You're welcome. Okay.
October 15th.
October 15th. We have another question. I received a letter 2 days ago saying I owe $4,000 in back taxes. I am disabled and receive SSI. Can y'all help me?
More than likely. Give us a call. More than likely. Once again, I spoke with a gentleman this week who is blind and is receiving SSI of about $500–600 each month, and he allegedly owes $11,000. So we review cases on a weekly basis to consider the level of assistance we can provide, whether it's going to be consultation or extended representation. And it was decided just yesterday, we're going to open that case and provide representation for that gentleman.
Okay, and that number to call to apply to see if we can help is 800-625-2257. Perfect. And we have another question here. Let's see. How does a spouse whose half of their stimulus check was garnished due to the other spouse's child support get their money back?
is a form with the IRS, and this is a very active issue right now amongst low-income taxpayer clinics. So there's no one answer for everybody. One possible option is there's a form that you can fill out available online for innocent spouses, and you complete it and you submit it, but that doesn't work for everyone. There are other instances where you may need some type of advocacy. It's a work in progress. That's one of the things in back of my mind when I mentioned resolutions earlier. In remedies, this is happening extensively nationwide. Some individuals have been cautioned that they may need to wait until they file their 2020 tax return next year. And, there might be a provision to make up for what you didn't get this year. That's not absolute yet. It's just something that's being studied at the time. But what I would suggest is that you give us a call to request the one-on-one consultation so I could ask you questions, because most times the better answer is going to depend upon the exchange of information first, because your fact scenario, there might be 10 other people whose situation is a little bit different, and therefore they might have to explore a slightly different solution, or the answer may be that there's no solution yet.
Thank you. And I don't believe I see any more questions. Do you, Paul?
No, I don't see any other questions, Salema.
No. I think we're good, Gail.
So everyone has our website address, right? You can go and get all kinds of information regarding not only federal income taxation, but the wealth of services that we provide. So we invite you to visit those sites. You can apply for services online as well as telephonically. We're receiving calls Monday through Friday, basically between 9 and about 4:30. And we encourage you, yourself, your neighbors, your relatives, your clients. Part of our success depends upon collaborating with faith-based entities, social service agencies, governmental agencies, the private bar, because the clients we serve don't always have the financial resources to pay for private representation. So that's when we come in. That's why we receive funding from the funding sources that we do. Well, that's all I have. If we don't have any more questions. You have any questions, Paul? Salema, is there anything we have not covered? I would just want to underscore one more time. If you ever receive a letter from the IRS, do not ignore it. That's the main takeaway, I would say, from our presentation today. Do not ignore a letter from the Internal Revenue Service. They're writing you for a reason. Maybe they have made a mistake. We've opened and closed many cases where the decimal was in the wrong place. So we have simple cases. We have complicated, extremely complicated cases. So I'm very proud. And I want to thank the other two attorneys who work at Bay Area with tax matters. And that would be Jonathan Allen and also Nancy Penner, who provide substantive information today regarding the slides. And we thank both of them and everyone at Bay Area. Please send us referrals if you know of someone who could benefit from our assistance.
I don't see any other incoming questions, Gail or Salema. So I think that wraps up the session unless either of you have anything to add.
Nope, I think we're good.
Well, I think this has been an informative live stream, and thank you guys for sharing your expertise.
I thought of one other thing naturally.
Oh, yes.
We have brochures. We do have flyers. I'm not sure whether they're available on our website, but you can certainly, at the number Salema gave you to request presentations, you can make a request if you're a social service or a nonprofit and you would like to make copies in English or Spanish. We have those available of the services we provide through the clinic. Feel free to request those. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. And then for anyone who missed the live stream, this would be saved on our Bay Area Legal Services Facebook page.
Thank you, Paul. Couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks, Gail. Thanks, Salema.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.